All right, let's get right into it. We all want to make better decisions, of course we do. But how often does our own brain get in the way? Today, we are digging into the incredible work of Shane Parrish from his book, Clear Thinking. We're going to pull out a powerful framework you can use to turn those normal, everyday moments into chances for, well, extraordinary results.
And this quote right here, this is the heart of the whole idea. Parrish is basically saying that success isn't always about having the highest IQ in the room. Nope. It's about strategic positioning. It's about being the person who can stay calm and think clearly when the pressure's on. That allows you to see the right move while everyone else is just reacting. That is the real superpower.
So the big question is, how do we get there? Well, here's the good news. Clear thinking is a skill. It's something you can actually build. But before we can start building, we have to get really honest with ourselves about all the times we failed to use it. And a story Parrish tells is just a perfect example of this.
So picture this. There's this CEO, and he gets a call about a major issue happening at his company, a really critical problem. But instead of listening, he just gets mad. He starts yelling that the person on the phone needed to be put in their place. He totally missed the point and ignored the problem. Well, just a few weeks go by, and that same problem spiraled completely out of control, cost the company a fortune, and yep, the CEO got fired.
Now, it's a dramatic story, sure, but that pattern is something we can all recognize, right? What went wrong for him is what goes wrong for all of us from time to time. We fall into these mental traps, what Parrish calls our defaults, that just sabotage our best intentions, especially when the stakes are high. So, this is absolutely crucial. We have to understand what these traps actually are. Parrish lays out 4 default reactions that are basically the biggest enemies of clear thinking. And recognizing them, well, that's the very first step to getting past them.
Okay, let's break them down. First, you've got the emotion default. You know this one. It's when you get a frustrating email and you immediately fire back an angry reply without thinking. Then there's the ego default. That's when someone criticizes your idea and you get defensive instead of curious. Third, the social default. Oh man, this is when you're in a meeting and you completely disagree with the plan, but you just stay silent to avoid rocking the boat. And fourth, the inertia default. That's our old friend, but we've always done it this way. Now that angry CEO, he was hit by a triple whammy: emotion, ego, and inertia, all at once. It was the perfect storm for a terrible decision.
Now here's what's so fascinating. Parrish argues that you can't just try harder or use willpower to avoid these traps. That's not the answer. What you need to do is build a whole new foundation of habits and strengths so that clear thinking becomes your new default reaction.
And that brings us to the good part, the solution. To fight back against those 4 defaults, we need to build 4 corresponding strengths. Think of these as learnable habits that give you the power to just pause, take a breath, and stay calm, even when things get chaotic.
So here's how we build that stronger foundation. It starts with self-accountability. That's just about owning your role in any situation. Then self-knowledge. This is being brutally honest with yourself about what you're truly good at and where you're not. Self-control. This one is a superpower. It's that tiny, crucial pause between feeling an emotion and acting on it. And finally, self-confidence. This isn't about ego, it's about being humble enough to focus on finding the right answer instead of just trying to be right. Seriously, take a second and look at this list. Which one of these just jumps out at you? Which one makes you think, oof, yeah, that's me? Because look, building these strengths is a long game, but just picking one to start with, that can make a world of difference. Okay, so we've talked about the traps and the strengths. Now let's apply this to something we all have to deal with, making mistakes. Because even with the best system in the world, we're human. We're gonna mess up. The real key is what you do after you make the mistake.
Parrish uses such a great analogy for this. Think about a little kid who breaks a vase. What's their first instinct? Usually it's to lie about it or hide the pieces, right? Well, as adults, we often do the exact same thing. We make a mistake and we immediately try to cover it up, hoping nobody notices. But that cover-up, it almost always causes way more damage than the original mistake ever did.
And this quote just nails it. The first mistake, yeah, it's expensive. It might cost you time or money. But that second mistake, the one where you try to hide it or blame someone else or pretend it never happened, that one costs a fortune. That's what destroys trust. It turns a small, manageable problem into an absolute disaster. So, what does the clear thinking approach look like? It's a simple 4-step playbook. First, just accept responsibility. Own your part of it. Second, actually learn from it.
Get curious about what happened. Third, commit to a real plan so you don't repeat it. And fourth, do what you can to repair the damage. It is definitely hard, but it's exactly how you turn a failure into fuel for future success.
So let's wrap this all up. The path to clear thinking isn't about finding some secret hack or magic bullet. It's a system. It's about recognizing your default traps, consciously building up the strengths to beat them, and then using a clear process when you, inevitably, stumble.
If you take away anything, let it be this. Know your enemy, the 4 defaults that are always trying to cloud your judgment. Build your armor, the 4 strengths that keep you steady under pressure. And have your playbook ready, that 4-step process for when you make a mistake. That's the framework, right there.
And that's really the challenge that Parrish leaves us with. This stuff isn't about waiting for some huge life-or-death decision to use it. Clear thinking is forged in the small, ordinary moments of every single day. So the question for you is, where are you going to start?